PULS8 Radio.
Oh, it's still summer. Marianne's eating her evening meal in the background there, Martin. It sounds delicious. It sounds to me possibly like a stir fry. That's what I'm guessing. I'm going stir fry. What are you going? Well, no, not yet, Phil. Not yet, Martin. Phil, what are you guessing?
I'm thinking gammon.
Oh, gammon.
Gammon steak.
Gammon
with
steak.
a pineapple ring.
Ooh, everybody loves a pineapple ring.
Unless it's vegetarian, in which I've dropped the right clang.
Oh, don't make me laugh. Oh, the pain.
Martin's got a bad back. Is it a gammon? Is it gammon with a pineapple ring, Martin?
Not even close.
Isn't it? Oh. Do you want a second guess, Phil?
Lamb.
Martin's doing a hand movement.
Bitch.
Is it a
Dolphin.
place?
What?
Place?
No.
Do you know what? I've lost interest. The listeners have lost interest. What's she having for tea, Martin, for crying out loud?
Well, hopefully I'm having it later. That's salmon.
Oh, lovely. Well, there we are.
Yeah.
Salmon.
Full of
Nice bit
omega-3.
of free, omega-3. Good for me back.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Martin's got a bad back. Phil's got, I don't know, bad armpit or something. I've got a bad ear.
Yeah.
Everybody's bad ear.
What a trio we are.
It's magnificent. Yeah. What an amazing show to present an evening of eclectic, fantastic, exciting, and truly, I think, possibly the best set of music that we've ever had on the show tonight.
It says it every time.
I know, but
No
truly
pressure.
tonight, that's why I've zipped my top up, got a bit Liam Gallagher. It's really, wow, it's out there. It's out there.
All right,
it really
kid.
is. It is. It's amazing what we've got tonight. So come on, let's kick it off. Right. So what we got tonight, first thing we're kicking off with tonight, I tell you what, we've got an interview coming up later, which is an interview and a half. I'm going to tell you it is early on. We've got Ian Boddy, who is a synth. He says he isn't. He is. He's a synth pioneer and he's a synth guru, and he is an amazing, gentle man. What a pleasure it was to talk to him. And Martin joined me on that interview as well. It was wonderful. Lovely, lovely man. So we've got that coming up. We've got a fantastic song from Ian Boddy as well. But we're going to kick off tonight with something quite amazing. And genuinely, we have got the best set of music we've ever had on the show tonight. So please just stay tuned and listen through. So Martin, just give us a quick intro to this one before we go in. Phil, we're going to chat about it afterwards when we come out.
Yeah.
But just tell us a little bit who this is.
So this is Solarstone, and the song's called Slowmotion 4, or IV. Solarstone is a trance artist, and I've had an album from him 10 years ago, and I literally just bought this because I haven't listened to any Solarstone for ages, and this is from this album, which is called One, which is ... Morse code.
If you're listening on the radio, Martin was showing the back of a CD cover which had Morse code on it. So if you're watching on YouTube or on the TV, then you'll have seen that. But let me tell you what, let's do it.
This is a proper dance tune.
It really is. Let's jump into it. This is Solarstone Slowmotion 4.
PULS8 Radio.
I'm not going to say anything until I've let Phil kick his boots straight into that. Phil, come on. That was just...
It was magnificent, wasn't it? I'm a sucker for trance anyway, but this was magnificent trance. And Solarstone has served up like a classic trance track with the brilliant breakdown in the middle with all the minors and major chords and sevenths and fifths. And, you know, he's out William Orbit, in my opinion. It's absolutely fabulous. And he's got a few irons in the fire with various different projects, but he's, I don't know whether he's the originator or just a member of this pure trance movement. Martin would probably know a bit more.
I think he originated pure trance because that's like an offshoot. So say from that, the album I first bought, he did a lot of remixes and a lot of I think electronic architecture was the series of albums he did. So this is from a series of I think 3 albums of original music from Solarstone.
Right. Okay.
With that sort of 2000-ish trance sound to it, but you know, production is just, you know, out of the park.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's just like the first 30 seconds did it for me, and that rise and that drop. That's how you do a rise and a drop and then bring the whole thing back in again. It was amazing, wasn't it, Phil?
Yeah, it was absolutely beautiful. And I've listened to it about 3 times. So, in fact, this whole show I've listened to, this is the first time I've listened to every track more than once because I think the show's exceptional. You'll find out anyway, it's got history, it's got beautiful tunes, it's got challenging tunes. It's a great show.
It really is. Great first choice there, Martin. Superb. Thank you very much indeed, Solarstone, for that. Slowmotion 4. Again, if we want to listen to a little bit more of their stuff, where do we find that? Is it Bandcamp or?
No, not Bandcamp. Solarstone.co.uk you want to go to.
Brilliant. Okay. Pop along there and support them if you possibly can, because that was just absolutely amazing. It sounds like Marianne's really enjoying that salmon. She's making that last. She's made it last the whole of that song, or is she on a pudding now? If it was a pudding, don't tell us, Martin. Phil, if that was a pudding, what pudding would it be?
I know it's a bit hot, but it might be treacle and custard.
Oh, jeepers creepers. Yeah, I was thinking of a plum duff.
I'm sorry. Well, what about spotted dick?
Well, you could, or you could combine the two.
Good job. Go to the doctors tomorrow.
Well, indeed, it's a late night show. Right, so moving on. Moving on extremely swiftly. We've got onto our next song. Oh man, alive. Do you know what? It's hard to pick your favourite song out the whole thing. And I know we've got Martin's Monster in there and all the rest of it, but crikey. I'll tell you what, let's talk about this on the other side. This is something really, really special. This is Analogue, Electronic, Whatever, European Home. Just listen and remember.
PULS8 Radio.
European Home. European Home.
This is an awesome song. Okay. Out of 2 into 3. Soletik Disco 1. Okay. Okay. Oh, man alive. Analogue, electronic, whatever, European Home. That was the Crossing Borders remix. Okay, Phil, just give me one word. And I know the word you're going to say. Just give me one word.
Oh, I've got 2.
Oh, you can have 2.
Daniel Miller, you remind me of.
Oh, that wasn't the word I was expecting, or the pair of words.
The founder of Mute Records.
Right.
When he did his stuff earlier, and the early Mute stuff, it's got that sort of signature to it, but it's bang up to date as well with its sort of sonic mixture. But it's got that sort of, you hear loads of roots and sort of influences in there from Kraftwerk with the way the lyrics are and the vocoder. There's like, and do you know what? I think they've been influenced by our very own Platform Zero. I think there's a touch of Platform
An Only
Zero
Human
about
Hero?
it. Yes. I think they could have heard this stuff as well and thought we'll mix a bit of that in. Because it's fantastic. I've loved every track on this show, and this is up there with all of them.
Absolutely. I mean, Kraftwerk was the word I wrote down. I mean, it certainly the first minute and a half was just, and it's not trying to say you're trying to do Kraftwerk again. It's just the influence was there. You could feel it, you could hear it, and it's a massive compliment to say, look, this feels a bit Kraftwerkish, because if you
that's what you thought I was going to say, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
But I nearly did. But yeah, it's just a fantastic melting pot of brilliant sounds that I love all of it. It's brilliant. What does Martin think?
Well, you more or less summed up. I mean, the only band you didn't mention was OMD. It sounds it's got a bit of an OMD vibe to it as well. And obviously OMD have done an album recently. I mean, they've got a love of Kraftwerk. So AEW, as we shall shorten it to, use castaway sounds, recycled synths, and drum machines to create a balance between pop structures and experimentation.
And I think they've achieved that in that song.
Yeah. I'm still not too sure who AEW is. He just goes under the name of Mr. B. Now, right. Mr. B is somewhere in a camper van in Shetland at the moment.
Really?
Fantastic.
And if he's making that music in his camper van in Shetland, then he's having a great time.
Yeah,
it's a holiday.
And just as an addition, he's really into the old formats like cassettes and what have you. And on his on his Facebook page, he was celebrating International Mini Disc Day. So, like our very own Andy Peggs, he likes his old formats.
Mini disc. Good Lord, that was a short-term format. That was.
And he's got a pretty vast discography up there as well. So check them out. Yeah.
So where's that, Martin? So is that Bandcamp?
Yeah, another Bandcamp, Analogue, electronic, whatever. .bandcamp.com.
Brilliant, superb. Check it out. Thank you very much indeed, Analogue, electronic, whatever, for letting us play that as well. That's just, I don't know. Not my favourite song of the night. Maybe my favourite song of the night. We'll see as the night goes on. Hard to tell. Right, okay, we're going to come on to something else. Oh, good God, it just goes on. It's another amazing one. This is amazing. So I'm just going to announce it. We'll get into it. We'll talk about it on the other side as we do before. So this is, if I'm going to pronounce this correctly, correct me if I'm wrong here, Martin. Soletik. Is that right?
That's what I would say, yeah. Sounds like Celtic, but Soletik, yeah.
Yeah, Soletik. Yeah. This is Disco 1. Disco 1. I literally wrote down, I'm not quite sure how to describe this. And that must have been made. It must have been made purely on modular. Was it, Martin?
Well, unfortunately, I can't get. I think Soletik is Simon Ward,
Right.
and he sent us some stuff about 2-3 weeks ago, and that's exactly what I said. That's got to be made of modular. It just sounds gritty and coming from a piece of modular kit. But unfortunately, at this moment in time, I can't get hold of to actually verify that.
Right.
But hopefully we'll find out. And if he joins us in the YouTube chat when we go broadcast, then fine, then we might be able to find out.
Well, I can actually help you a bit there because I know his mate, Sensian, Mark Ackerman Meddins, who's a regular listener to the show and usually on the chat.
Yeah,
he has confirmed that you guys, your expertise is spot on because it was indeed done on modular gear.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
well, that's good news then, isn't it?
Yeah.
At least our magical ears are still working.
yeah.
But it was like I don't know, it's like a distorted beat throughout the whole thing, and I just couldn't work out how else that could have been created. I was trying to imagine in my mind if I had a piece of equipment in front of me. I'm not as experienced as you two guys are, but I was trying to imagine in my mind a piece of equipment in front of me. How on earth would I try to recreate anything like I was listening to?
Well,
I just couldn't think how to do it.
I got zero, background to modular, but just to me, it doesn't sound like it comes from a synth or from a DAW.
Yeah.
So that's the only option for me. Yeah.
Exactly.
Because the thing is, to get that variation that you seem to be able to coax out of modular, because you can get these varied beats and tonal differences, and it will take you hours just tweaking it on a synth each beat. It's a really good thing. The old
and you couldn't do it, and you couldn't do it on software. I don't think it just you could do, but it would take it ages. Yeah,
and I don't think you'd be convincing as that.
No. Yeah.
But what I liked about the track was he knitted it all together with a slight sub-bass kick that was in there all the time, and all that random distorted stuff. It really glued it together and made it a really coherent track. I thought he did a real good job.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, utterly amazing. So thank you very much. And again, so where can we find more of this, Martin? Do we know?
We don't. I don't. Not yet.
Okay.
Let's hope we can find out come the show.
Okay. Well, let's say if anybody knows, stick it in the chat, please, and then we'll try and add it in the thing below. We'll say we'll do it, and then we.
Yeah, that's right.
We always do. So we're coming on something special now. I feel I ought to explain myself as well. I probably look like I'm trying to look really cool. No, I've got a work shirt underneath there, and I just felt like I was looking like I was 90. So that's why I've zipped that up just to make myself a bit cooler. So that's why I've done that. Anyway, so now we have got something amazing coming up, though, because we've got our very own Phil.
It's our Phil.
It's our Phil. It's our Phil. And I said, well, we'll talk about it after.
It's our kid.
It is our kid. This is our Phil with performing as Swirler Burner. We'll talk about it all afterwards. This is Big Rat.
Yeah.
Step-by-step programs, software for the brain. Step-by-step programs, software for the brain. Step-by-step programs,
love that. Swirler burner, big rat. That. Just before we go into it, did Marianne enjoy your after eights with the coffee, Martin?
She hasn't got to that point.
Okay,
No.
that's fair enough. It's a fair point, well made. Yeah, I've perhaps been a little bit premature there. Anyway, that was Swirler Burner with Big Rat. That was amazing, Phil. And I tell you what, that was on the first Only Human album.
Yeah, it was written specially for it.
Was it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it was my attempt to do a trance track because I've never done one before.
Well, it wasn't a bad attempt, Phil, to be fair.
In my notes, I say, because obviously it doesn't, it sounds like it should, it's going trance way, but there's no, massive big drum beats in there. It's like you're waiting for that trance to happen, but it doesn't come in. But so I think maybe it could carry on and develop in that we all could have a bit of a trance session and yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I actually wrote massive 3 exclamation marks after that because it was massive for me because it did
big
kind of
sounds.
It did still got there. It just like and then but there was I loved the sample in there, Phil, as well. Where was that from? The step-by-step software for the brain.
Right. So originally I had because the Big Rat is the machine that Joe 90 goes into. His brain rejigged. So I had a whole lot of dialogue from Joe 90 from the very first episode, which was the inspiration for the track. And then the software for the brain was from an old NLP tape I used to have for neuro-linguistic programming.
Yeah.
So I had a combination of the two. And I went back to try and do a remix for this show with the original Joe 90. And like Martin's just said, to put a bit more of a break in it, because having lived with the track for a bit, I thought, it needs like a bit of a Willie Morbit bit in it. And I had every intention of doing that, but I couldn't find it because I saved it under another.
You could be inspired by the Solarstone now.
Yes.
Wait,
I was my heart sank when I heard that Solarstone. I thought, oh, blimey, I've been blown away.
Yeah, well, it's the sampling of that. It kind of reminds me of one of my heroes, Bill Nelson, because he used to do in the 80s a lot of instrumental work and put lots of old samples of American adverts and things like that, and so they kind of reminded me of that sort of era.
Yeah, the tape was an old American NLP tape. Yeah,
that was it. What I should have mentioned was that this was also
Martin's Monster.
It's called
That's right, it was Martin's Monster. It was Martin's Monster. I should have mentioned that before. We've done the jingle now, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, we've done it now. So it was just it was remiss of me not to mention that a little bit earlier. Phil, that was an amazing piece of music.
Thank you, Martin.
And well deserved. Yes.
Absolutely. So, Phil, where can we find more of your stuff? So, are you a Bandcamper as well? Or?
So, I've got a very eclectic mix on SoundCloud, and it's my full intention to do an album at some point, and then I'll go on to Bandcamp. But at the moment, SoundCloud, and there's the odd thing on YouTube. If you just look for Swirler Burner, 2 words, you should find the stuff. SoundCloud and YouTube.
Well,
it's not very electronic.
Well, I tell you what, Phil, we'll find out a little bit more about you very soon anyway, because we've got an interview coming up, but the next interview we do is actually with Phil. So Phil's got quite a significant background behind him, which probably a lot of people listening to the show don't realise. So we're going to be talking about that in the next show, about Phil when he was signed, the band he was in, and all the rest of it. So we're going to be chatting about that. But we'll leave that for the next episode. So we won't delve too much into that now. But Phil, that was an amazing song. Thank you very much. And we really look forward to learning more about you in the next episode.
Thank you, gents. Thank you.
But we have got something amazing coming up now. So we've got a bit of a synth legend and a synth guru coming up. And he says he isn't, but he is. So we've got an interview now with the wonderful, delightful, and extremely charming Ian Boddy. So Martin very kindly joined me on this because I felt a little bit out of my depth, to be quite honest, talking to Ian Boddy on my own. So we're going to have an interview with Ian Boddy, and then we're going to jump into a song of Ian's, which is from his new album Axiom, which is called Omicron. So we'll listen to that and then we'll have a chat about it on the other side. But this is the wonderful, delightful, truly charming and very lovely Mr. Ian Boddy. Well, welcome to another great interview. And this time, well, if I'm quite honest, I was ever so slightly intimidated. I knew of Ian Boddy already. When I did some more reading up, I kind of realized maybe I'm a little bit out of my depth with my depth of music knowledge. And I brought in my co-host, Martin Eve, to help me out a little bit, because Martin's actually literally qualified in music. So can we introduce Mr., I know everybody knows him, but Mr. Ian Boddy. Ian, thank you so much for joining us.
I'm trying not to be intimidating. It's just probably my northern accent keeps people going.
Well, you're a real gentleman, but it's more your CV that's intimidating. I mean, you are a synth pioneer, to put it mildly.
Yeah, possibly. I'm not quite sure if I'll go quite that far. There was certainly people doing it before I did it. I always thought of myself more like a second generation. Obviously, Tangerine Dream, Cloud Schultz, all the German guys. Jean-Michel Jarre, Vangelis, they were all doing it, 5, 10, 15 years before I started. But certainly in the UK, there wasn't that many folk. The whole UK electronic music scene seemed to kick off late 70s, about 1980, that kind of time. So I guess I was there at that point.
Well, yeah, and because you did a degree in biochemistry, didn't you? And then left your degree in biochemistry. And then, so how, what was the sudden join up? So you left you did your degree in biochemistry. How did you not stumble into, but how did you move into this scene?
Well, at school, I went to a grammar school. Such a thing existed when I was a lad. It was an all boys school, and I was good at art. I was good at science. I was good at art. If you're good at art, you're good at art. And I used to do it in my spare time. What I mean by that, when it came to my A levels, as they were called then, I did 3 science exams, but I did my art in my spare time because I loved art. But of course, the people who advise on these sort of jobs and things said, "Oh, you don't want to go into art. You'll never get a job in art. You'll never make any money out of anything to do with art." So science was what I should do, and biology was my best science subject. So off a trip to university to do biochemistry, which was good. It was interesting. And whilst at university, I continued doing art by doing screen printing at this open access arts place called Spectro, who people have read interviews of me before may have heard. It's actually a car park now in Newcastle, but at the time it was this wonderful place with screen printing and photography, an art gallery upstairs, an exhibition space, and unbeknownst to me, a sound studio upstairs. So there's me doing my screen printing in my spare time while I should have really been at university doing my biochemistry lectures. And I think it was a conversation I overheard in the Science Fiction Society of all places at the Newcastle University in my spare time, drinking a pint of beer. And somebody said, "Yeah, you like Tangerine Dream and Schultz and all these weird things. You do know at Spectral there's a sound studio upstairs with the kind of gear these guys use." And I'm like, is it? Okay. So I walked upstairs, the concrete staircase that I can well remember, opened this door, and like this shining light kind of beamed down from the heavens. And there's a VCS3, there's another VCS3, there's a Revox tape recorder. I wonder what all this can do. And somebody showed me, and I was like, wow, this is so cool. And it's this indefinable, it just completely captured my imagination. So
like a eureka moment.
Yes, kind of. I mean, I can remember it really, really well. And within a month, I'd literally packed up all my screen printing stuff and was starting to go into the studio there. I mean, after I graduated from university, I did get a degree in working in one of the labs at a local hospital in Newcastle, and I worked there for 5 years as a biochemist in the labs. Although by the time the 5 years came up, I absolutely hated every second of every day. It just wasn't for me. So yes, a change was afoot.
So the VCS3, was that your first step into synthesis then, was it? I mean, what an amazing machine to start on. A complicated machine and a very challenging machine.
It's not that complicated. I mean, it looks weird because of the way you patch it with the little pin matrix board, which many people have commented looks like a game of battleships. So that quite literally was the first synthesizer. I didn't own one. I mean, I own one now, but I didn't own it then. It was belonged to Spectra. I think they had 2 VCS3s and also the suitcase version, the AKS. And somebody just showed me roughly how to use it. This is the filter, this is the oscillator, you put this pin in here, this happens. And then it was just experimenting, just left to my own devices. And it's a good teaching instrument, the VCS3, because it's quite clear and easy. Patch codes can quite often get very dense and you're not quite sure what's going into where. It's quite simple on the VCS3 to actually see what's going into where. It doesn't have an awful lot of things, but somehow the sum is greater than its parts. I mean, it's not a particularly well-designed instrument. Yeah. I certainly don't want to disrespect Peter Zinoviev, who unfortunately has left us in the last few days. But in terms of the quality of the build, it's kind of ramshackle. It's a typical British kind of Heath Robinson kind of thing. But somehow, this instrument just sounds like nothing else, and I think that's its charm. It has a complete personality of its own that a lot of synthesizers just don't have.
I believe they're still being made in so there's a guy in Cornwall's making them. Another generation.
Robin Wood, I think, who worked for EMS for a long time. I mean, the fetch stupid prices now, both new and second hand. It's crazy. They're not worth what people are asking them for. It's a fairly simple device, but it has this strange sound which, even for the gear behind me, I can't get all this to sound like a VCS3. I can get it kind of ish, but it has a personality, and there's nothing quite like it.
So do you have your VCS3 very carefully put away somewhere else? You've got your other kit there, and that's like your special.
No, it's actually sitting on the floor at the minute. I was moving things around. I'm not precious like that. If I use the VCS3, in fact, I've got a very special project which is going to be released in probably October, I think. I'll let you guys know first because nobody else knows about it yet. I've done an album where I've literally just used the VCS3. I've multi-tracked the VCS3.
Oh, wow.
There is a bit of CV control from the more modern things like sequences and stuff, and it's quite a difficult thing to control like that, but I've figured out ways to do it. But all the sounds from the VCS3, and these pieces just have this like a charm, a very early radiophonic kind of feel. Mm-hmm. And I think it's going to surprise quite a lot of people because most people assume the VCS3 is just for sound effects. And I've got it playing Berlin school style sequencer lines. It took ages to get it in tune. I had to use some special CV tricks to get it in tune, but it's doable if you're prepared to take the time. And this album sounds like nothing else I've done for a long time.
That's going to sound interesting. Yeah.
It is. So when's that coming out in?
October. It's going to be a limited edition on a record which a Greek company who are going to do that for me, who I've done things before. I did the Altair Redux lathe cut and the Modulations album. So this is kind of like a Modulations 2, but it's just going to be it's all done on a VCS3, layers and layers of it.
So literally everything is on the VCS3?
Every sound you hear is the VCS3. Wow. I'm only using some of the more modern stuff for CV inputs, like sequences and some extra envelopes and LFOs. But every oscillator, every note. I even play tunes in tune, rather, which takes a while. I've got these lovely AJH CV buffers where you can actually expand and contract the octave.
Yeah,
because that's the difficult thing to get in tune on a VCS3. You've got a tuning control sort of on the CV input, but you've also got to tune the octave. And obviously, it's one of those things that as you get it more in tune, the octave's not quite in tune. And as you stretch or contract the octave, then the tuning can go out. So it's this constant fight. But these CV buffers that AJH do help a lot with that.
So was that your first ever synth that you owned?
No. The first synth I owned actually was a Gen string synthesizer.
Right.
You actually used to get a grant at university, believe it or not. They actually paid me to go to university. Yeah. I think I actually used. I think I used three quarters of my first grant to go and buy a Gen string synthesizer.
How much was that, Ian?
I don't know, 250 quid or something. It's on the first couple of cassettes. I didn't pick up a VCS3 in my own until something like 1993. When I found one in a shop, and the guy said, when I was traveling around with that guy, and this guy said, we've got this weird thing here. You probably like this. We don't know what it is. would you buy it off us for 300 quid? And I'm like, well, yeah, okay. Oh, there's a keyboard with it as well, by the way. So, you know.
I've never come across a Gen string synthesizer. Is that literally? Is that kind of like a? I'm not trying to play it down. Is that kind of like a Waldorf Streichfett where you've got that because that's a string?
I don't know. It's like it's a string. It's a string machine, Gens and Italian brand, and it was just cheap and cheerful in the local music shop. It's all I could afford. I wanted something which I could play chords on because you certainly can't play chords on the VCS3. You can if you multi-track, but that was different. So, it was just a little cheap string synthesizer that appears on my first couple of cassette albums.
So if you still
I didn't keep it for long because it wasn't very good.
Oh well, that answers that question.
It was rubbish to be honest, but it was my first synth, so why not? You know.
So what then led you into? Because obviously then you moved on and you worked with Akai for quite a while as well, didn't you?
Yeah,
so
I did.
What was the bridge between the two?
I worked in a local music shop called Rock City in Newcastle upon Tyne. But at the beginning, they actually employed me to program sounds for the DX7. They did these things called, I think it was Sky Slip ROM chips. I was one of the very first people to get a DX7 in the UK, and I even managed to know how to patch up the sound. So they initially employed me to do that, and then that kind of fell by the wayside after a while. They didn't really know what they were doing, and so they said, "Oh, well, you're going to have to go on the shop floor now and sell." And I'm like, "What?" So I worked there for a few years. It wasn't the best thing I've ever done, but it was a stepping stone because I started to meet other people in the music industry. One of whom was the rep for Akai, who said, "I'm going to leave to work for another company. I strongly recommend you apply for the job." So I did, and I got it. That was 1990.
Well, I was talking to Dominic Halkin the other night, and he was saying he remembers you from the days of Akai because he was sponsored by Akai, and he was saying he remembers the patches that you wrote for some of the Akai machines. So he was remembering very fondly those days. But then you were with Akai till what, 1999 was it, or into the early 2000s?
No, it was from 1992, I think 2002, when it actually went bust. I think yes. It kind of left me. I kind of got the phone call. It was a really good job working for Akai. I mean, obviously, I was there right with all the S950, 900, S1000s, and Akai could literally do no wrong. And though in later years, they certainly messed things up. I met lots of interesting people. Flew around the world. Went to Japan. Went to the States. It was great. Got to borrow all their gear free of charge. Made lots of contacts. So when I was made redundant from Akai in 2002, obviously I'm not trying to underplay this, but for a lot of people, being made redundant is one of the worst things that can happen it's one of the worst things that can happen to you. For me, it was a real opportunity because it was going to be quite difficult with a couple of young kids to actually voluntarily give up a highly paid job with an expense account in a company car to try to make a full-time living off what I was doing would be quite a big risk, but the choice was made for me. So I thought, well, I'm just over 40 at this point in time. If I'm going to do this, I should do it now, because if I don't, when I get to the age I am now, I'll look back and think, you idiot, you should have given this a go. At least give it a go. If it doesn't work out well, get another job. Fortunately, it worked out well.
So that was the point that you started Din Records, was it?
I actually started doing records in 1999, 2 or 3 years before I left Akai. So when I left Akai, I'd already done a couple of production music albums for De Wolf. I'd already done some sound design for sample libraries. I was already earning a bit of income from what I was doing, not enough to live off, because I was doing it in my spare time. But obviously, when I was dropped from a great height by Akai, I either had the choice to get another job straight away or give it a go. And obviously, when you work on your music full time, you've got lots of time, so you can do stuff, release other albums, do more concerts, do more sound design, do more production work. So yes, it's worked out very well. I mustn't complain.
As you say, it's a big step, though, isn't it? When you get 2 young kids and all the rest of it, it's a huge step to take, and obviously it's great that it's worked out that way, and it has been amazing because within Din Records, you've released 60 albums through Din now.
It depends. If you count the whole lot, which is the physical albums on the DIN labels, the 5 Tone Science albums, there's also 26 digital only albums. The next album, which is going to come out, I think, is the 98th.
Right.
And then there's a one set for September, the 99th. And then the VCS3 one that I mentioned is going to be the 100th.
Good God.
Yeah.
That's a coincidence. I didn't plan that one at all.
And your latest album that you've got out at the moment, again, is absolutely amazing. So Axiom is phenomenal. So could you talk us a little bit through about your inspiration around the whole album and how that came about? And I mean, Martin and I were talking this afternoon briefly, and Martin was saying it'd be great to know just where your inspiration comes from when you create tunes, because it's, for any artist, it's not necessarily easy to suddenly just bring that spark.
Yeah.
Or do you just, sorry, go on, Martin,
Yeah, I was wondering, how you keep your inspiration going after having really so many albums. Where I've just released my album, and I'm thinking, where do I go from here? I've got no ideas at the moment to release album number 6. So,
well, I've done lots of different things. I don't always do. Even my own albums tend to change over time. I go through different styles, and obviously I work with other musicians as well. Your specific question with Axiom was a guy called Blue Tech, Evan, in the States. He, who has an album on DIN, Liquid Geometries, DIN 57, he invited me a while back to do a track, which is Omicron, which I believe you've got, which was on a compilation album called Portals. And he said to me, what I want all you guys to do on Portals is think back to the 70s and the early 80s, all the analog cosmic kind of vibe.
Right.
So I went, okay. So obviously that's my background. That's where I came from. So I actually wrote that track first, and it ticks all the boxes. It's got the choirs, it's got the chords, it's got those lovely arpeggios on the Moog. I was really, really pleased with that track. I think it's probably one of the best tracks I've ever done in terms of a quite succinct 5 to 6 minutes. You can almost sing the tune to that one. It kind of starts off spacey. There's some nice sound design, but I was very pleased with that. And then I got to thinking, that's got a nice vibe. Why don't I do an album with that vibe? So I already had a couple of live tracks that I was working on. I had done in a couple of concerts, which were Icon and Nitro, very sequencer-driven tracks. So then I decided it was going to be on vinyl. So that kind of, I know how long it's going to be then, only 20 odd minutes aside.
Yeah.
So I worked out 6 tracks, and I worked out a shape to the album, and then I went full force for the analog, the all-out kind of analog, lovely, warm, soft sounds, lots of tape echo. I recently bought a tape echo. So there's loads of tape echo over there, which gives it a certain vibe, a lovely kind of warm vibe. And that was it. I just kind of... Sometimes it's good to focus in on a certain sound or a certain style or a certain subset of the gear. I don't use all the gear that I've got all the time. There's just no, it's just be daft. So that's like or when a classical composer uses an orchestra, it doesn't necessarily have to use brass all the time or strings all the time. It'll use whatever is right for that particular piece.
Yeah.
And I'm a similar kind of thing.
Yeah, and
to me, it's got that sort of Tangerine Dream, John Carpenter, Jean-Michel Jarre sort of sound to it, which goes back to the 80s, and so you could imagine it in a film as well.
Yes, well, I also try to have a cinematic side to what I do. As I said, I do a lot of production music, so I'm often writing things I have in image. There's a little phrase I've used over the years: is I paint pictures and sound.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and you have had stuff features in films and also TV and all the rest of it as well, haven't you? Yeah.
That's like commercial work, where the library music company gives me they phone me up and say, Ian, can you do 10 or 15 tracks about space? Yeah, sure. I can do space. Don't ask me to do like rock and roll or folk music, but I can do space. And then if they get used on a documentary or on a TV show or used on the radio or whatever, obviously I get royalties from that, and that's quite a nice little source of income in the background.
Do they? Obviously, I've only got about 20 tracks with a company called Synth Tracks, but do they actually inform you when your music is placed on TV, or do you have to search for your PRS statement to find out when it's been played?
Actually, I've got some stuff on sync tracks as well because they're linked
okay.
to Wolf. No, I just have to look for the PRS, the PRS, the big, large PDF arrives, which
that's
is
right. Yeah. Well, obviously, yours must be a lot larger than mine. I get about 3 sheets of every quarter of what I've actually got royalties on.
I've done quite a lot of stuff. It's all a numbers game that I think I've got over 500 tracks with the Wolf. So
yeah, I think I counted that. Yeah, I saw that on the Wolf the other night.
It adds up.
Absolutely. I mean, the kit you've got behind you there as well, Ian, if you don't mind me saying, is just an astonishing studio. It's beautiful. There's nothing, no other way to describe it, really. It's amazing. So if you were to have this is a horrible question to ask you. If you were to have a desert island synth, if you had to trim that down.
Well, if I was on a desert island, I wouldn't want a synth, though. I would want a boat so I could escape. Or,
there's no boat available, but you have got, luckily, a 3-pin socket that you can plug something into and a nice set of speakers. So you're going to take something with you. What would you take with you to play that you're going to enjoy every single day and still get enjoyment out of the next day, the next day, the next day? Well, still be able to do something new.
We'll go with the VCS3 because of my history with it. But I still wouldn't play it every day because sometimes people say to me, "Oh, look at that studio, you must never go out." I would never go out of there. Well, that's daft. You have to go out. You have to give your brain a rest sometimes. I have to go out with my partner and walk the dog and stuff. You have to give yourself a break. So, but you were talking about inspiration before. Sometimes when you've been doing it for so long, there is a skill set you have, and it's not all about inspiration. Sometimes I work on a track and it's a struggle. And it's like, is this any good? And I'm not quite sure about this. And I'll leave it for a day or two and I'll go back. So it's not all like suddenly kind of descends from the heavens like, a fully formed track. Yeah. Although having said that, Omicron, I compose and record that in a day. That was one of those tracks that just went pow. But that doesn't happen that often, to be honest.
Yeah, I sometimes have that myself. But, I can do. All of a sudden, I've got a track and I've done it, and it's a day. Then I've got all these work in progresses, and I sometimes may not come back to it for months. So
I don't usually leave it that long, but it's I mean, it just there is a work ethic. There is. I mean, being a composer, musician is to me. It's just a job. It's a nice job. It's a cool job, but it's a job. You have to work hard at it. You have to put in the time. You have to put in the hard yards. If you don't, it is not going to work.
Yeah.
If you had a preference, would you prefer to be the composer or the sound designer? Do you have a preference, or you just think that it's all part and parcel of what you do?
To me, they're the same thing. Sound designing for me, often a piece of sound design can trigger off a whole track.
I guess so, yeah.
And likewise, if I'm composing a track, I may need some sound design to finish the track off. It's all working with sound, so to me, it's all the same thing.
So do you do much collaboration as well, Ian?
Oh yes, you were talking before about how come I've gone on for so long. If you look through the catalogue and DIN, you'll see there people I work with is Marcus Reuter, the German touch guitarist, Eric Volo, the Norwegian ambient guitarist, Mark Shreve is part of is ARC, to name but three. Robert Rich. There's a whole host of musicians who over the years I've worked with, and every collaboration with a different musician brings another angle. It brings in ideas in things that you wouldn't have thought of, and also those guys, and often what you come up with is something you wouldn't have done on your own, so that can keep things fresh.
Well, we actually had an Eric Volo song on. Was it last one, Martin, or the one before? I can't remember.
A couple of shows back.
Yeah, about 2 shows ago, we had an Eric Volo song on, which is fantastic.
Well,
it's awesome.
I'll give you a little secret. That's actually what I'm working on today. I was working on a collaboration with Eric Volo.
Oh, really?
Don't tell you on that. So
it's too late. It's out of the bag now.
Won't tell anyone.
It'll be well before it's finished. But yeah, Eric's a very interesting musician to work with. He's so easy to get on with, and he just comes up with ideas. He's not precious about what he does. He just is very, very nice chap. Very, very easy to work with. And we've done a couple of actually 2 CD albums plus a live album. So that's this will be a new one at some point in time.
So when you're working on something, Ian, and do you take a point where you bounce it off other people, or do you always keep it to yourself and develop the whole thing yourself right the way through and then push it out for reaction? Or do you bounce it off people as you're actually producing and going through the process?
Used to keep it to myself. My partner gets to hear what Wendy gets to hear what I do, but no, I trust my instincts. Too many cooks spoil the broth. If you keep putting out, people be, oh, I don't like that bit. Oh, I'm not sure about this bit. You have to have your courage, your convictions. You have to. One of the hardest things I think a lot of people find is to actually finish something off. Just to say, right, this is finished now. You could fiddle with all the gear we've got now, especially software and computers. You could fiddle until the cows come home, but there is a point. You have to say, this is finished. I like this. This represents what I want to do, and I'm going to put it out in the world. And once it's out in the world, it's not yours any longer. Then people will make what they will of it. There's no point in going back and thinking, I wish I'd done that, because you wouldn't have done that when you put it out. There's no point in having hindsight.
No, absolutely. And I mean, you mentioned the very kind of exclusive here, the VCS3 album that's coming out soon. So what else does the future hold for you at the moment? Have you got any other plans that you can tell us about?
Currently compiling another Tone Science album, which will be Tone Science 6. These things take a while, so I've got the musicians chosen for that. That series has done extremely well and seems to be very well respected and received. The Eric Voller one, which I mentioned, plus obviously continuing to run DIN. The whole library music production side of things, I'm not doing so much nowadays. I'm kind of pulled back a bit from that. There's only so many hours in the day, and running DIN has taken up a lot more of my time. Excuse me. It would also be nice, of course, to get back to playing live. So hopefully, life as we know it will slowly start to get back to some degree of normality. So it'd be nice to get out to play live again. And like I said, I don't sit here every day for like 12 hours a day working on this gear. Sometimes I like to go out into the world and walk about with the dog and enjoy myself.
If I had that, I would never leave that room. No,
Is
you would. You say you would.
Is the next live gig that's actually going to be, is the one in Birmingham coming up? Is that to the next live performance?
I think, actually physical live. I have done a couple of live streaming things, but I think the next physical concert, as far as I know, will be that one in Birmingham. So it's in November.
7th Wave, yes.
Yeah, if that goes ahead, that would be great. I played there before, nice bunch of guys, and it'd just be nice to get out and take some of this gear and make a noise again.
Absolutely. So, Ian, if people don't know how to find your stuff, and I'm sure they do anyway, but can we just tell them where's the best place to go and find some of your back catalogue of things, the things you're doing now?
Well, Bandcamp's always the best, so just simply go to dinrecords.bandcamp.com. So it's like DIN records, one word, .bandcamp.com, and it's all on there.
Okay, well, we're just going to play now the song from the new album, Axiom, which is Omicron. Just want to mention on there as well, because those are two Greek words as well. Axiom is Omicron is a Greek letter O. Axiom is taken, and I had to look this up, I have to admit. It was something taken to be true as an assumption, and then I had to look up exactly what that meant. It's like
a fundamental truth.
Exactly, something that needs to be believed because it doesn't need explaining, kind of thing, isn't it? So was there a reason to put the Greek meaning behind these?
No. I was looking for the track on Portals. Evan had said, we want this kind of B-movie sci-fi kind of thing, and I was thinking of a title, and Omicron just sounds cool. It's like, you can imagine somebody's voice on one of these films, the Omicron effect. And I just thought it had that kind of retro B-movie sci-fi feel, so it's literally, I often choose titles because of the poetic feel of the word, as opposed to any kind of literal kind of effect. So I just thought it sounded nice. It just kind of went with the vibe.
It does.
It's like with DIN Records. I thought, well, DIN must mean something, and I think you're quoted saying it doesn't mean anything, or it just means
it's a word, DIN, which is slightly tongue-in-cheek, of course, because in British DIN means a horrible loud noise. But I was also after a word that was instantly recognizable, easy to, it's very easy. Also, the catalog number, I like the fact I can use the catalog number in the record label, so it's DIN 57 or DIN 64. And the logo, everything is just, I like the simplicity, and some of that was inspiration from Fax Records, if you remember Fax. Records in the 1990s. That was a three letter word, so that was where it came from.
I thought it was DIN cables. That's what I thought. But
That's
Well,
what I
there's,
thought
I
that.
mean, there's a German
Yeah.
industrial standard, but yeah, it's just it's a throwaway. I didn't want anything long and pretentious and difficult to write down. So DIN's nice and simple.
I was comparing it with obviously back in the 80s of Mute Records. Obviously, they had their Mute 001s and etc.
Yeah.
superb. Ian, it's been an utter pleasure talking to you tonight. It
Yeah.
really has, and we really appreciate you coming on and giving us your time. It's great to have a legend like you on here, and we're trying to do it. Well, no, seriously, you are, and it's great to have a series of these interviews, and you really are the pinnacle so far, Ian.
Oh, thank you very much. It's been good fun.
And I hope we can come and see you in November, with any luck.
Yes, hope so. Yes, that'd be cool.
Absolutely. And so now we're going to play Omicron from the fantastic album Axiom. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ian Boddy. What a lovely man. What a lovely man. And thank you so much, Ian, for doing that with us. That was just great. It was lovely to talk to you. Martin, thank you very much for your help on that. I would have been way out of my depth in
that was great. Yeah.
in that space. But what a delightful man. And again, if you want to listen to more of Ian's stuff, go and find, the DIN label on, I think it was Bandcamp, Martin, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's all the DIN stuff's on Bandcamp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But
again,
obviously,
thank you.
He's got his own website as well, ianboddy.com, I think. But yeah, you're easy to find. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And thank you very much, Ian, for the exclusive of the new work that you're doing as well and what you're going to be doing in the future. So thank you so much for that. First time on this show, Ian Boddy.
Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed. So that was amazing. And the song, Jeepers Creepers, I don't know where you even start with that. What an astonishing soundscape. And Ian was saying himself in the interview that it was, I think he said it was he feels one of the best songs he's ever done. Just felt
He did, didn't he?
Yeah. It was amazing. How did you find it, Phil? I mean, it's got to be good.
Absolutely. I'm a sucker for sample and hold. And that sample and holdy bit at the beginning, slightly reminiscent of Telephone Line by ELO, the beginning of that.
Oh, yeah.
I was just hooked straight away. But the thing is here, right, what I noticed about this track, he has handpicked these sounds.
Yeah.
He's created these sounds himself. And the care that he's put into it just jumps out through the track. The Vox pads, the sample and holds. I don't know whether he's used the VCS on it that he's famous for, sort of doing pioneering work on it.
But what he said was he decided to carry on, didn't he, and create an album from the sounds that he created with Omicron. So I think Axiom the title track. Axiom is probably one of my favourites from the album.
Right.
But if I recommend, and we all recommend, I think, having a listen to the whole album because it's marvelous.
Yeah, Omicron is the song. I think is Axiom's the album, but yeah.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
But as we said, when sort of as we know Ian Boddy, but I knew him as more from the sound design point of view because I've used some of his samples from Zero G, the defunct Cam Audio who did Alchemy. He's got whole sets on there. So he is multi-talented because over 500 tracks on DeWolf Library. Yeah. And if I had to, I've got, as I said in the interview, I've got about 20 tracks up on Sync Tracks, and he's got 500.
Yeah,
it's just awesome.
I know, it is incredible, absolutely incredible. And more incredible was that is what I was saying. Is he VCS3 hidden away somewhere very safe in a cupboard? Yeah. No, it's on the floor there. So, what, on the floor? What are you doing? But it's somewhere safe, for goodness sake. That's worth £20,000.
Oh, it is. Yeah, as a prized item.
Yeah. Really?
But he got it for a few hundred quid, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is what I loved about this show. I had to do a bit of research because I'd heard of Ian Boddy, but I didn't know anything about him, to be honest. And when I researched him, he's a real legend, a real influencer, and it's just another great aspect of this particular show, the history and stuff that's being brought up in it, and a legendary person like him. I'm glad I found out more about him because I can't wait to hear the rest of that album.
And obviously, hopefully, he may join us in the feed. Let's hope so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I hope he does. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely, and again, once again, thank you very much, Ian Boddy, for doing that with us. We're really, truly thankful for doing that. I mean, it's great to have somebody of your stature on here. I know you won't like me saying that, but it is genuinely nice to have somebody of your stature on here. Yeah. So thank you very much indeed. Right, okay, we're going to have to sadly move on from Ian Boddy onto something else. So, but to say sadly, because we're going to move on to something else amazing. So again, it's just one after another tonight. So we'll chat about this afterwards. Let's just stick it on the decks. This is Pierre Schafuer. My French isn't good. Etud or Allures. How good was that? How good was that? I'm gonna get my bit out now, rather than jump into it. I'm just gonna do it. Apart from the French avant-garde and all that, this was like a Razorhead if it was made in Paris. Or is it just me? Or is it just another "it's just me" moment?
No, it's not just you.
No,
It is, isn't it?
But you're right. This is a moment. This is a moment in time. This is why I chose this, because this man, with you, Jules, with your machine, sampling instrument, may not have been developed if it wasn't for this guy.
Oh,
he
really?
He is quite possibly, yeah. I mean, yeah, maybe someone else would have done, but he is the man who is described as the godfather of sampling.
Yeah.
Now, the term musique concrète is a well-known term for found sounds, what we call found sounds now. Sure. What he did wasn't very musical in the structured way, and obviously led to various things. But it's quite possible, in my opinion, that certain people like Delia Derbyshire, who created Doctor Who theme, may not have created the Doctor Who theme and various other things. And obviously, who was influenced by Delia Derbyshire? Aphex Twin, for instance. And she created dance beats, and she was influenced by Pierre Schafuer, and I think they met. So obviously, you have to think: is this actually electronic music? But yes, it's in its true pure form. Obviously, this is all created on tape manipulation, tape machines. Because,
oh, really?
Yeah. It's tape,
like the big old.
Oh God, yeah. Sure. There was some big kit. There were oscillators, but majority of what you heard is tape manipulation, and that's because there wasn't really, commercially viable synthesizers at the time.
Incredible. That's incredible. Well, that shows my lack of knowledge. I hadn't realised this was a track that was actually that old and used in that way. I thought this was a modern piece.
1958.
58.
Really?
1958. Right,
1958.
So I thought this had been made to sound old. So
no, it's old.
I had no idea. Go on, Phil.
Yeah.
Phil, so did you know that background, Phil?
Yeah, I looked at. Well, I'd heard of music. This is why I'm loving this show tonight, because I'd heard of musique concrète, and I knew it was to do with found sounds and recorded. Well, I didn't really know who was behind it all, and so it was fascinating to dig into this guy Pierre Schafuer or whatever his name is, and he was a true pioneer, and he indeed created a machine of looped tapes in different pitches, a forerunner to the Mellotron years before that was developed.
Okay.
And he called it the I've written it down. I can't bloody read my own writing. Phonogene. The Phonogene it was called.
Right.
But also I really was into early Kraftwerk.
Yeah.
And they were definitely influenced by this. And even up as late as on the Radioactivity album, there was a track called Radioland, which had all these bits and bobs of sounds, and I could hear it
avant-garde
from the music concrete. So that was fascinating. I thought, God, they must have been influenced by that.
When I got into when I got to using samples and obviously loop, to me, a looping is obviously something goes back and forward on a computer, and you actually, in the Radiophonic Workshop, and it's the same for Pierre Schafuer, you would actually see all these tape loops, and that's it. And
literally stuck to piece,
literally
as a piece of tape.
Yeah,
in a loop.
Running round and round and round.
That's the loop, and we use that today in terminology. Looping things.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's amazing how that's like the originator of what we do now.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah.
It's amazing.
It all what you've just heard is part of the process of getting to where we are now.
Yeah. Exactly. Just a quick question, Martin. Got to be serious for a moment or two. Is Marianne enjoying that creme brulee? Because I can hear her in the background digging away at something. It must be a creme brulee. Is it a creme brulee, Phil? Do you think it's a creme brulee?
It could be. I got a bit of squelching.
Oh, is it a trifle then?
Pancakes.
It's little pancakes.
We know what it is.
Oh,
It's pancakes.
They all
I
gone.
know.
Because Mark has been eating them.
They've all
no,
gone.
we actually do that. We actually do that. Really.
They were too. I normally grab one, but they were too hot.
Is there a trifle in the fridge that you can dip into later?
No,
Ooh,
no.
That's very disappointing, isn't it?
I'm still gonna have my tea. She's had hers.
Ooh, dear me. And she's eaten all the salmon. You're just down to a dry roast.
Just got the
potato or
skin
something.
left.
Yeah, exactly. Just a bit of fried skin. Lovely.
Oh,
Lovely. There we are.
Right.
There's Martin's tea sorted. Right. Okay, so that was amazing, though. Thank you very much indeed for choosing that one, Martin. It was superb. Right. Coming up next, we've got, it just is one after another. Okay. Let's just kick straight into this and we'll come straight out the other side and have a chat about it. This is Gazelle Twin. This is Exorcise.
Synth Radio.
It's just, we've said, this is probably the 5th time I've said this tonight. It's one after another. One after another. Gazelle Twin Exorcise. That was just amazing. Martin, just wipe that trifle from around your mouth, would you, before we start talking? Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah. But that was utterly, wasn't it? I mean, Phil, come on, kick us off. That was amazing.
Well, the Gazelle Twin.
Yeah.
Well, what I read on the internet was she lives around Leicestershire somewhere.
Really?
So I'm like hoping that her husband or someone, when they see this on the internet, want to pop round for a cup of tea in my little modest studio here in Countersthorpe.
Just round the corner.
I live. Yeah, they might be just round the corner. I don't know, but going back to her music, because that's what she want me to be talking
Probably.
about. I'll bet.
Yeah.
Wow, all I can say is, ha, 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 ha. Gosh, wasn't it amazing?
It's
the sound coming in, the lyrics.
It's disturbing almost. Yeah, the sort of some of the sounds coming out. Yeah.
Do you know what? I listened to it 3 times. Like I said, nearly every track on this show, I've listened multiple times, which I'll never do. To this again, it just gets better and better, and the work that's gone into it is incredible when you start listening into it, because sounds like it's been done like a proper band, like bits have been played and bits of door and a bit of a mixture of everything, and all really creative, lots of treatments to the vocals, but really good vocal, and great to have such a great female electronic artist on. Again, for another week, we need more women and females submitting their tracks.
Absolutely. Go on, Martin. Sorry, you've been jumping up and down with excitement there.
You're itching there, Martin. You're itching.
I know. Sorry,
it's that trifle.
It must be the tablets. Well, I had before actually sort of trying to compare. And I read and I thought were very much like Fever Ray and the knife sound. If you know the Fever Ray and the knife, and she was inspired by Fever Ray, and because they both do these processed vocals, and you can tell but Gazelle Twin or Elizabeth Benholtz, I think her name is, does this processed vocal sound, and that's again probably influenced by the Fever Ray type of sound, voice manipulation. It's taken from the album called Unflesh. Right, which was about 5 years ago, I think. And also there's a John Fox link as well, because I think she remixes some John Fox tracks as well.
Oh, really? Oh, right. Okay. And because I wrote down it was, and I'm going to sound really silly now, or just uneducated. I wrote down 16-bit stroke 8-bit because it was kind of like moving from 8-bit to 16-bit, but still with that glitchy sort of 8-bit sound. Does that make any sense whatsoever? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And
you're talking about the vocal sound as well.
As if it actually doesn't.
You're talking about the vocal treatments and stuff there as well.
Or the drum beat.
Well, mostly the drum. Yeah. It was mostly the drum beats, to be honest with you. Yes. It was like a transition from 8-bit to 16-bit kind of type thing. For me, again, it's quite often just me, and it usually is. But I did also know there's some fantastic vocals in there. It's a kind of pain nothing finds relief from. Well, we've all had gout, but it does.
I've had gout.
It's terrible, isn't it?
It is. It's a killer, isn't it?
Oh,
people laugh about it, but till they get it,
it's nothing to laugh about.
Laughing.
Good Lord, no.
Do you think that's what the song was about then, Jules?
It could be. That was my interpretation. It was a 16-bit gout song. That's what I thought.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
It was a brilliant one.
It was. I've downplayed that slightly. I've kind of ruined it for everybody. But it was amazing, though. Thank you very much indeed. Gazelle Twin, Exorcise. Again, so if we want to listen to more of that, where can we find that?
Yeah. She's on Bandcamp. GazelleTwin.bandcamp.com.
Okay, superb. Thank you very much indeed. That's fantastic. All right, coming up next, we've got, this is a friend of the show. This is a friend of the show from far, far away. He's actually a friend of mine from Facebook as well, who I've never actually met. We've became friends on Facebook through music and all the rest of it. He's a chap called Phil Minotti. We put a request out for some songs, I think it was, and then Phil sent in a couple and said, you might want to listen to these. First one I listened to, I thought, holy cow. what? I had no idea you were this good. Send me another. And he sent 3 through, and it was hard, Martin, wasn't it? It was hard to choose between the 3 because each of them were just epic. So we've chosen one. So this is Phil Minotti, who plays as Rabbit Hole Express. We're going to talk on the other side of this. This is Plyometrics. Minotti, thank you so much for sending that through. That was just, what a way to end the show. I mean, what a way to end the show. And again, I'll just quickly chuck my bit in there. I kind of wrote down dum 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 dum, and it was like I was thinking, right, this is gonna do something, or is it not, or is it just gonna lull me into a false sense of security and things are just gonna happen? And then all of a sudden, 1 minute 30, boom, we were there into kind of an industrial, I don't know, atmosphere of some description. It was amazing, and then from there on in, it just went and went. What a song, Phil, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, I'd listened to the whole list of the songs tonight for the show, and I thought, there's something wrong here. Martin hasn't chosen a sinister track yet. He usually took sinister one in, or a couple of sinister ones. I think he's got a bit of a sinister side to him. And I thought, oh, maybe we're going to go through a whole show without a sinister sounding track. And then suddenly this came with the like hollow, deep bass, like you say, a bit of a slow start, menacing, loads of reverb. And then what I've written down as a homicidal clangor at the beginning came in, like a slowed down woo, woo, clangor, fantastic sound, and then, like you say, it transformed into the club thumper, but it's all washed with this fabulous reverb, which is hard to do without it muddying the sound. But this didn't; it just added to it. And I said it sounded like a trip through some sort of disused mine shafts.
Oh, yeah,
but with a dance beat, because of all the fabulous reverb, the depth to it. Great track, and great to have a sinister track on, because I thought, God, we're going to miss out this week. So this week's got the lot.
Martin. Again, yeah, Martin, wasn't it a cracker, that?
It's the bass. I really like the bass at the beginning. I'm going to use the JC word, not Jesus Christ. But John Carpenter again, he just got that filmic quality at the beginning. It could be like something like Jaws, the way it starts at the beginning. Yeah. So
it was
ominous.
Ominous, beautiful, amazing, and superb. I should have looked this up beforehand. It's probably my job to do that bit because it was somebody I introduced. Martin, do you know when we can look at more Phil's stuff? Is it Bandcamp?
I think it's the Rabbit Hole Express. .bandcamp.com. There we go.
Thank you very much, Martin, for doing the background work I should have done in the first place. Yeah, superb. But thank you very much indeed, Phil Minotti, for sending that through. We've got your other two songs. We will be playing them on future shows. Definitely. 100%. They are amazing. So he's an amazing artist. Please do go and have a look on Bandcamp at Phil. That's the end of the show, lads. That's it. Just quick question, Martin. Is it time for Marianne's After Eights yet?
No, I think she's having a bath now.
Oh, is she? Oh, with a Turkish delight.
Is that a euphemism?
Phil? What's your confectionery of choice in the bath?
I think now you mentioned Marianne in the bath, I can't get Turkish delight out of my head, because she still used to do that. I hope she still does the belly dancing and all that.
Oh yeah,
not in the bath. She doesn't. No. No, that's just so wrong.
Say if she does, hey, Martin was going to say if she does, chuck your washing in there with her. get everything done at once.
Dearie me. Brilliant. It's back to normality, isn't it? This is good news. Right, I'll tell you what, let's do a quick rundown of the night. We've had a fantastic night tonight. It really has been amazing. Martin, thank you so much for choosing all the songs tonight. It's been utterly, it has been our best show. I genuinely think this has been our best set of music so far. It's been amazing. So
no pressure for next time.
Well, exactly, Martin. Step up. Come on. Right, so we have started off with Solarstone, Slowmotion 4, which was just amazing. That first 30 seconds just did it for me. And then that rise and that drop, it just really kicked it in. Then we moved on to Analogue, Electronic, Whatever, European Home. That was that real Kraftwerk vibe and those beautiful samples in there as well. It was the Cross Borders mix, that, by the way, as well. Then into number 3, which was Soletik Disco 1. That was that beautiful piece, which we all felt must be modular. It turns out it actually was. So it's a good job we've all got a keen ear for this kind of thing, isn't it? Well, you two have anyway, but I haven't. But there we go. That's just the way things go. Into number 4, which was the wonderful Swirler burner. It was you, Phil. It was Big Rat, Step by Step, Software for the Brain. It was a massive song. That was superb. And if you want to listen to that again, go and have a look at the Only Human Radio album #1 on Bandcamp,
and
which
it's
you will
on there,
find
yeah.
it on there, but also obviously on Phil's Bandcamp page as well, if you just search for Swirler Burner. Straight into number 5, where we had that amazing interview with Ian Boddy. Thank you again so much, Ian Boddy, for spending your time with us and for allowing us to do that. That was absolutely awesome. And hear a bit of background about the VCS3, your history with Akai, with your sample making, with all of the soundscapes and stuff you do and things like that. So again, thank you very much indeed, Ian. And please do go and look up Ian's record label, Den, and listen to the music on there. It is utterly, utterly astounding, the stuff that he's got on there. We then moved into Ian's new album, Axiom, and the first song off that, which was Omicron, which was that beautiful soundscape, utterly, utterly amazing. We then moved into a piece which I thought was modern, but actually turns out to be more than, where are we now, 40, 50, 60, 63 years old. Pierre, Schafuer, Etud, or Allures. I thought that'd been made about a year ago. Turns out it was slightly longer than that ago, but it does sound a little bit like a Razorhead if it was made in Paris. If you don't know what that is, go and watch a Razorhead. It's an astonishing film, if a little bit eerie. Into number 7, Gazelle Twin, Exorcise. Amazing again, wasn't it? That was just utterly awesome.
Great.
Yeah, 16-bit, 8-bit, I don't know, but it was all happening inside there. Then straight into our last song, which was our friend from over the pond, Phil Minotti, who is playing as Rabbit Hole Express. Plyometrics, we will be playing more of Phil Minotti's stuff. That was an utterly astonishing evening. Martin, I know you're about to tuck up inside your bed now. And I know you've got.
I've got to have my salmon.
Your salmon? Oh, I was hoping you had an confectionery treat in bed. That's let me down slightly. I had a picture of you in your silk pajamas, sat in your bed with your cravat on, about to eat something astonishing. But slurping on your piece of salmon, that's kind of put me off.
I just got my beer here, so.
Oh dear, Phil, what are you going to have in bed tonight? Are you going to have something special?
Steady on.
I'm going to take Martin's lead. I think I'm just going to have a beer and a big fish. Probably I might go for a big trout.
Let's
settle for some anchovies.
I lied to. Well, now you've said that, I might have a nice bit of fried haddock. Yeah, lovely. Yeah, lovely stuff. There we go. Let's all have some fish tonight and enjoy the evening. It's been a pleasure to see you all. Thank you very much for tuning in. Martin, do you want to give our first big goodbye for us?
Bye.
Well, I've got to say that's a 7. It's not bad. Phil?
I was nearly did the theremin again. Goodbye.
You always just slightly trumpet. It's an 8 from Phil. It's just a cheerio from me. We'll see you next time. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thanks again to Ian Boddy. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
PULS8 Radio. PULS8 Radio. PULS8 Radio. PULS8 Radio.